Afternoon, ma'am.
This call is now being recorded.
Yeah. In the last class, we have seen what is meant by Euler path, what is meant by Euler circuit or Euler cycle, what is meant by traversable graph and Euler graph, and we have seen Hamiltonian path, Hamiltonian circuit, and traceable graph and Hamiltonian graph. Right? So, what is the other name for Euler path? Is anyone able to say? What is the other name for Euler path? Traversable, it's not the path actually. The graph which is having Euler path, we call it as traversable graph. Yeah, Euler trail. Yeah, Euler walk. The other names of Euler path. Basically, what is Euler path? It is a path that uses every edge in a graph exactly once. Okay, every edge of the graph we have to cover exactly once. Then we can say such kind of path as Euler path. Now, if you consider this particular example, the ordering like starting from C to A, then A to B. So these two we have covered. Next, third edge is from B to D, then D to C, then come back to C to B. Now we are starting at C and we are ending at B. So we are starting at one vertex and ending at other vertex by covering all the edges of the graph. So it is considered to be Euler path. Okay, in the last class we have discussed one thing which is wrong. That is, if Euler path exists, Euler circuit exists, Euler path will also exist, or sometimes it may exist such kind of thing. But in general, if you observe Euler path or Euler circuit, all edges should be covered, right? Euler path or Euler circuit, if you consider, in both the concepts, we have to cover all the edges. If you cover all the edges, order does not matter. Why? Because we will be covering all the edges in whatever the order you consider the edges, that does not matter. Then if it is cycle, that cannot be a path. If it is a path, then cannot be a cycle in general. So if Euler cycle is there, we cannot guarantee, we cannot have Euler path. Definitely, we can say such kind of that is the wrong thing that we have discussed in the last class. Whereas if you consider Hamiltonian cycle and Hamiltonian path, this argument will work. Hamiltonian cycle, if you have Hamiltonian path, if you remove any of the edges from the cycle, then it will become a path. Because there we have to cover all the vertices, not edges. So Hamiltonian cycle will contain n plus 1 vertices, isn't it? How many vertices we will be having in the path of what you call Hamiltonian cycle? Yes, please answer me. In Hamiltonian cycle, how many vertices we will be having? Yes. Okay. When we come to that discussion, I will tell you. As of now, you remember that if Euler path exists, Euler cycle will not exist. Why? Because whatever the path we consider as Euler path, that will cover all the edges of the graph. If all by considering all the edges also, if you cannot form a cycle, then definitely Euler cycle will not exist. That is one way. Another way is Euler cycle if exists for a graph. That means we are covering all the edges of the graph. If you cover all the edges, if you form a cycle, there is no way to have that one as the path by covering all the edges. So Euler cycle exists means Euler path will not exist. Euler path exists means Euler cycle will not exist. Such kind of conclusion we can make. Yeah. Now consider this particular graph. Here, starting from C, we can go to A, then to B, then to D, then C, then come back to B. We are starting at C and ending at B. So is it cycle? Is this cycle? It is not a cycle. So it is a Euler path. Yeah, some question was asked. What is it? Euler cycle traversable. The graph is actually we will be saying about graph based upon the whether it is Euler's whether it is having Euler path or Euler cycle. If a graph contains Euler path, then that particular graph we call it as traversable graph. That means we could able to traverse that graph. That's it. If you consider a graph which contains Euler cycle, then we can say such kind of graph as Euler graph directly. Eulerian or Euler graph. Understand, Hafiz? Yeah. So now, in this particular example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in this order, if you consider, this is forming an Euler path. Why? Because it is starting at C and ending at B. Now the question is, can we have any other Euler path in this particular graph? Yes or no? Do we have any other Euler path? Yes or no? Yes, definitely. Here itself you can observe. We can start at C itself, C to A to B. Then from B we can go to C directly, then to D, then come back to B. This is also different Euler path compared to other one. So we can have several Euler path possible in a graph. This is one conclusion we can make. Next, coming to Euler circuit. What is meant by Euler circuit? By covering all the edges exactly once, okay, each edge exactly once, we should form a cycle. We should form a circuit or cycle. Circuit or cycle, both are same. Now, such kind of cycle exists means that such kind of graph we call it as Euler graph. Now, consider this particular graph. Is this Euler graph or not? Whether it is having Euler circuit or not? Yes. This is one of the examples. Starting from A, we can go to by considering this order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9. Like this, we could able to cover all the edges. We have given numbers in order. So all the 9 edges we have covered, and we have started at A and ended at A itself. So it is a cycle or circuit as well. So it is Euler circuit. Now we are having Euler circuit in this graph, so we can consider it as Eulerian graph. And next, as we have considered with respect to Euler path, CA, BC, DB. This is another Euler path in addition to this highlighted one, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead of this 1, 2, 5, 4, 3 is also an Euler path. Similarly, here also there exist several Euler circuits in a graph. If a cycle is formed by considering from, let us consider A, this is the Euler circuit that we can form. Suppose you start at E. Okay. Now you tell what is the Euler cycle which is possible. Whether it is possible or not, starting from E. If you start from, yeah, it is possible. Hafiz, why it is not possible? Starting from E, you consider this particular graph. Starting from E, you have to visit all the edges exactly once and come back to E. You can flip the arrows in first graph. No, you consider original graph is this one, left side graph only, the original graph. Okay, this is just to give the notion called like a sequence of edges that we consider, that we visit. That's it. But you consider original graph, that is left side graph only. Starting from E, can we have Euler circuit? Yes. Let us try to give like that. You start from E, just you consider instead of 1, you consider 2 as 1. Okay, instead of A to E, you consider E to C as first one. So starting from here, remaining all edges sequence will be same. Next, at the end A to E we are having an edge, so we can consider this as the Euler cycle or Euler path. Yeah. So now for a graph we can have multiple Euler circuits. This is another conclusion. We can have multiple Euler paths, multiple Euler circuits as well for the graph. Next, now the question is, as we have discussed in the previous class, what is the restriction to have Euler circuit in a graph? What is the restriction? We have discussed one thing. Only even degrees we should have for every vertex. Every vertex should have even degree. If a vertex contains odd degree, then straight away we can say it does not contain Euler circuit. Okay, like that we can prove several things. Next, similar to that, if a graph contains odd vertices, odd degree vertices, can we have Euler circuit? No. Can we have Euler path? This is the question. If a graph contains Euler path, yes, we can have Euler path. But what is the restriction again on odd number of odd degree vertices? How many number of odd degree vertices we can have? Only 2, right? Only 2 vertices we can have. And one more restriction also we have discussed. What is that? At one of the vertices we have to start Euler path, and at other vertices, at the other vertex we have to end the Euler path. Such kind of Euler path only exists. Okay, if a graph contains only 2 odd vertices, then only Euler path exists. That is one thing. And one of the 2 vertices we have to start, and at the other vertex we have to end the Euler path. Okay, this is another observation we have made in the last class. Yeah, of course, same two what you call things, that is all vertices should have even degree. Based upon this, another conclusion also we can make, that is if we have any degree, any vertex without with odd degree, straight away we can say that will not contain Euler cycle. Similarly, if more than 2 vertices are having odd degree, straight away we can say it will not contain Euler path. So these two also we can conclude. Okay, that I will show here. These are some of the examples you can go through in the textbook. Of course, this we have seen, I think, in the previous class. This also we have seen. Is this Euler path, Euler circuit? Second one, 6.26. Yes. Okay, well, you can start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 3, then 1. All edges will be covered. Next, similarly, first one, Euler cycle. First one. No, why? Because E is having odd degree. Even D is also having odd degree. So Euler cycle will not exist. Euler path. Euler path. Here we are having E and D are the only vertices which are having odd degree. Only 2 vertices if you have, then it's fine. So we can start at E and we can end at D. That means E to D, then D to B, B to A to C, then C to D. So we are starting at E and ending at D, and this is a Euler path which is covering all the edges of the graph. Yeah. Next, with respect to these observations, we can make these theorems, like if a graph has a vertex of odd degree, then straight away we can say no Euler circuit in G. Okay, on the other hand, we can say if G is connected graph and every vertex has even degree, then there exists Euler circuit. Okay, well, from this you can prove this, or from this you can argue this. Yeah. Next, another observation is, if a graph has more than 2 vertices of odd degree, then we can conclude that there does not exist Euler path. If more than 2 vertices of odd degree, then there should not exist Euler path. Next, another thing is, if only 2 vertices has odd degree, then there must be an Euler path according to this. And there is one more restriction that that Euler path should start at one of the vertices of odd degree and it has to end at other vertex of odd degree. Okay, these are the two things which are interrelated. Similarly, these are the two things which are interrelated. With respect to Euler circuit, we can have these two observations, and with respect to Euler path, these two are the observations. Yeah. Is it clear? Any doubts so far? Yes, any doubt, ma? Okay. Now let us see some of the one more example. Now you say whether 6.29, this one is Euler path or Euler circuit, whether it is having Euler path or Euler circuit. 6.29. How we can check? Just yeah, none. In the sense we are having odd degree vertices. For this odd degree is there. This is also odd degree vertex. This is also odd degree vertex. By this itself, we can conclude that if you find one vertex with odd degree, Euler circuit will not exist. Okay. Next, if you find more than two vertices of odd degree, then Euler path also will not exist. So 6.29 is not having any one of these. Like Euler circuit does not exist, Euler path also does not exist. Next, consider this 6.30. Euler path. Euler circuit. Euler circuit. No, why? Because this is the counter case. This is having the degree 3, so Euler path, Euler cycle will not exist. Euler path. Now, how many vertices of odd degree we are having? These two and any other. For this 2 is the degree. For this 2 is the degree. For this 6 is the degree. For this 2. For this 2. So all these are all the remaining are having even degree. Only 2 vertices of odd degree. So we can have Euler path in this particular graph. Next, consider this graph, whether it is Euler, whether it is having Euler cycle or Euler path. Just we have to find degrees of all the vertices. If you find one vertex with odd degree, then we can stop and we can conclude that Euler circuit will not exist. Now, 6.31 is having Euler cycle or path? Euler cycle. Why? Every vertex is having even degree. We can observe here. What is the degree of this vertex? 4. What's the degree of this vertex? 4. Next, for this 4. For this also 4. For this also 4. For this vertex 2. For this vertex 4. So all the vertices are having the degree even. So we can conclude that there exists Euler cycle in this particular graph. Can we have Euler path in this? No, definitely no. Yeah. So by this, I think the doubt is clear. Euler path, Euler circuit. When we will have Euler path, we will not be having cycle. When we have cycle, we will not be having path. And to have cycle in our graph, what are the constraints? To have path in our graph, what are the constraints we have seen? Yeah. Next, now we will see if a graph is known to have Euler cycle. Let us assume that this is the graph given to us, and we can say by examining degree of each and every vertex, can we say whether it is having Euler cycle or not? Yes or no? If a graph is given to us, by examining the degrees of all the vertices, can we say whether it is having Euler cycle or not? Shall I repeat the question? If a graph is given to us, whether it is having Euler cycle or not, can we examine by using degrees of all the vertices? Yes. If even degree is there, Euler cycle will exist definitely. Now the question is, how we can able to obtain that Euler cycle? This is the question. Okay. In order to answer this particular one, before going to answer this question, let us try to observe one more thing. Euler cycle exists. If you start at arbitrary edge, if you start at any arbitrary edge, can we able to complete the cycle? Did you get the question? Euler cycle exists. If you start at any vertex, can we able to reach, or that means can we able to cover all the edges of the graph and form an Euler cycle or not? Yes. Why? Because wherever you start, we have to cover all the edges. So if you start at any vertex, any edge, it does not matter. So starting point is clear to us. We can start at any edge. Suppose we have started at one edge. Let us say this one. Okay, from here, okay, this is the starting point. Let us say, okay, this is the starting point. We went like this. Now, from here we are having several alternatives. Like we can go to this, we can go to this, we can go to this. Out of this, which one we have to consider? This is the question. Try to follow what I'm saying. If you understand this one point, then that's it. We will be getting the algorithm. Yeah. Suppose we have started at a highlighted vertex. Namely, I will give names also. Let us say this is A, this is B, this is C. Okay, we will start at B. From B, we can choose any edge as we have discussed. We can choose any edge. Let us say we have chosen C. Okay, now we are at C. D, F, sorry, this one is F. Yeah. Now we are at C. Now from C, we are having three alternatives. We can choose either CD or CE or CF. Now, any of these we can choose, right, from C. Let us consider, you can tell anything. Let us consider CD. Okay. After considering CD, we are at D. Now from D, we are having two or three alternatives. We can go to B again, or we can go to A, that is DA we can choose, or DB we can choose, or DG we can choose. Okay, let us go back to DB itself, because it is looking like we are complicating the procedure. Why? Because we are going to B immediately. Let us try to find whether it is correct or not. Just as brute force approach, we are trying to obtain Euler cycle. Yeah. From B, we are having how many alternatives now? Yeah, from B, how many alternatives we are having? Three alternatives. What are those three? B to A in one way, B to A in other way, isn't it? These are the two alternatives. From B to C also we can go, but B to C we have already considered. So we assume that this particular edge is removed whenever we have considered BC. In the sense BC is removed. Similarly, from C we are having three alternatives. We told that only three alternatives: C to D, C to E, C to F. But why we didn't consider CB? Why? Because CB we have already covered. So CB we are assuming that it is removed from the graph. The graph will contain remaining edges only. Similarly, when we are at B, we will be considering, we will be having only two options. That is B to A in one way, B to A in another way. So, why? Because this we will assume that it is already removed from the graph. So, similarly, B to D also we won't consider. Why? Because it is already covered. So, we will assume that it is deleted. So, B to A in any of the ways we have to choose definitely. So B to A we will choose. Let us consider this we have considered and we have removed it. Next, from A how many alternatives we have? From A how many alternatives we have now? or 3? A to B we have, A to D we have, A to G also we have. Why? Because A to B only one edge we have covered, but another edge we have possibility, right? Isn't it? So we will choose any of these three. These are the three possibilities. Okay. But cycle won't be completed if you go to B. Correct. If you go to B, cycle won't be covered. So for that purpose, we will not consider A to B. Okay. Why we will not consider? How we can find such kind of thing? I will say. Just as of now, you consider other than A to B, you consider any of the two. That is A to D or A to G. Let us consider A to G we considered, or A to D we considered, anything. Okay, A to G we A to D we considered. So we are at D. Now how many possibilities are there? At D, how many possibilities are there? Hmm. Only one. So that on if only one alternative is there, that we have to choose. So we'll go to G. Now from G, how many alternatives are there? From G, how many alternatives? Two alternatives, three alternatives we have. Consider G to F we have, G to A we have, G to F in other way. So three alternatives we have, three edges we can take, any of the three edges. So let us consider, we will not consider G to A, let us assume. G to A we will not consider. Okay, let us assume G to F, any of these two, because there are no intermediate vertices we have. So we can choose either this or this. Let us consider G to F we have considered. Anything you can consider, G to F in this way or in this way. So next, from F, how many alternatives are there? From F, F to C we have, F to E we have, only one. No. From F you see, F to C we can go, F to E also we can go, F to G also we can go. Three alternatives we have. Clear? F to G also we can go, but we are not considering F to G. Why? I will tell. Okay, if that is the only point left. Although some alternatives are there, some we are considering as possibilities. Okay, we can take any of those, but some we are not considering. Why? When we should not consider that point, I will tell. Yeah, from F we are having three alternatives. Out of those, F to G we are not considering now, but F to either F to E or F to C we can consider. Let us consider we went to F to C. From C, how many alternatives are there now? From C? Only one. That is 2. That is 2. From C, that is to E only. So that only we have to choose. From E, how many alternatives are there? Only one. That is to F only. From F, how many alternatives are there? Only one, that we have to choose. From G, how many alternatives? Only one, that we have to choose. From A, how many alternatives? Only one, that we have to choose. Clear? So in whatever the order, let us try to give labels like order sequence 1, 2, then 3, okay, then 4, 5. This no, this is 5, then 6, this is 7, 8. Please note down, ma. This is 9, this is 10, then this is 11, this is 12, this is 13 finally. Okay, so with this we could able to get Euler's cycle. If there exists a Euler cycle, then we could obtain Euler cycle by applying this procedure. Let us try to reframe the whatever the procedure we have discussed formally. What is the procedure that we have started? We can start at any edge. Yes or no? We can start at any edge. Yes, this is the starting point. You can start at any edge, and if we start at B and we can go to any edge, so B to C, let us assume. Whatever the end point that we have considered for the current edge, that is C. From C, how many alternatives are there that we have to see? If we are having only one alternative, that alternative we have to choose. There is no other way. If we are having more than one alternative, then we will be choosing one of those. Okay, and end point will be changed. Like from C to D we have chosen, then the end point is now, what is the end point? What is the end point? D. Next, from D, what are the alternatives we have that we have to choose? And every time, whenever we choose an edge, that we have to remove. That you keep in mind. Then only algorithm or the procedure will work. You have to remove the edge every time. You keep on removing the edges, whatever we have visited. So B to C, if you consider as the first edge, then B to C will be removed. Next, C to D we have considered as second edge, so this will also be removed. But if there exists other edges from the same vertices, okay, from those vertices, if you have other edges, like while removing B and C edges, okay, B and C edge, become a C edge. From C we are having other edges, right? So we should not remove C. Similarly, C to D, while removing C to D, from D we are having other edges, and from C also we are having other edges too. So we should not remove those vertices. If that is the only edge exist between those two vertices, then we can remove vertices as well. I am repeating once again the last point. While removing edges, if there are no more edges from those end vertices, then we will remove vertices as well. But in our example B comma C, from B we are having other edges, from C also we are having other edges, so we will remove only edge. That's it. Is it clear so far? Yes. Yeah. Next, we are at D. Out of the alternatives, we can choose any of the three. Any of the three. Next, we are at B. Now, out of the two alternatives, we can choose anything. Okay, fine. We are at A. Now the question comes. We are at A. We are having how many alternatives from A? We can go back to B. We can come to D. We can come to G. Three alternatives we have. Out of these three, I have told you don't consider going back to B. Why? This is the question. This is one situation. Okay, one context where we are not we haven't taken A to B certain edge. Next, second stage is like from D, okay, from A we went to D, from D to G we went, then from G we didn't go to A. Okay, this is second example where we haven't considered one of the possible, although one possibility is there that we are not considering as feasible option. This is second example. Next, from F also, after considering from G to F, from F we are having three alternatives: G to C, G to F to C, F to E, F to G. But we haven't considered F to G immediately. Why? This is third context. In all these three cases, we are having common point as this. Like you consider remaining graph. In the case of this third one, that is FG, what is the remaining graph as of at that particular time? What is the remaining graph? You please tell. BC is removed. I will erase entire thing, then you will understand. Sorry, labels also I have removed. Okay. A, B, C, This is D. E where we have taken, I think, here. E. This is F. This is G. That's it. Okay. Now, while we are at F, what are the edges that we have removed? This we have removed. This we have removed. This also we have removed. This also we have removed. This also we have removed. And this also we have removed. This also we have removed. Okay. Now let us redraw the remaining graph. Use yeah. Uh, Thank you for this suggestion. Yeah. So this we have removed. This we have removed. Then this we have removed. This we have removed. This we have removed. This we have removed. Yeah. So remaining edges are present in the graph. Now let us redraw the graph with available edges. Only with available edges, let us redraw. So what are the vertices which are remained? A to B will be there. Next, A to G. Next, G to F, we will not be having two edges, only one edge will be having. Next, E to C, F to E, E to C, then C to F. Any other? I think that's it. Yes, any other man? Okay. So A B G, then this is F, this is E, this is C. Okay. Now from F we consider. Okay, this is the third case, that is F comma at F. Whenever we are at F, we are having three alternatives. From F to E we can go, F to G we can go, F to C we can go, but we are not considering F to G. Why? Because if you observe F to G, if you take, can we will remove F to G, right? Try to observe the point. F to G if you consider as the alternate feasible option, then we will remove F to G. What will happen? We will be at G. Can we go back to E and C? Is there any possibility to visit these three edges? To cover these three? No. So can we consider G as the feasible option? No. So we should not consider G. Similarly, you consider whenever we are at G. Whenever we are at G, this was the state. We will be having this also, right? So now if you consider A, then we will be going to A by removing this AG. Then can we go back to any of these edges? Can we go back to any of these edges? No. That's why we should not consider A and G. Similar case you can observe in the case of A and B as well. From without considering, before considering A to D, we were having A to D and D to G as well, like this. Okay. Now this is D. Without considering this edge, if you consider this one, then we will be going to B, but we cannot traverse any of these edges. That's why we should not consider A to B here itself. Okay. Now I will generalize these all things in such a way that while removing, okay, while removing or while considering any edge to remove, we have to check whether it is disconnecting. By removing that particular edge, whether it is disconnecting the graph or not, we have to check. Okay, if it is disconnecting, such kind of edge we should not consider. Okay, let us consider we are having a graph like this, simple graph. Let us assume we are at one of okay, what's the degree? Okay, let us consider like this. Yeah, now we are here. Okay, we are here. Can we consider this edge or not? Can we consider as one of the alternatives this edge? Yes. Why? Because even if you remove this edge, it is not disconnecting the graph. Suppose this edge we have already visited and we are at here. Now can we consider this edge? We have already visited this. We have already removed this edge and we are at this particular vertex. Can we consider this edge as the alternative? No. Why? Because if you remove this edge, what will happen? This component will be separated. This component will be separated from the graph. So graph will get disconnected. So we cannot obtain Euler circuit, and which we have proved as, for which the graph we have proved as having Euler circuit. So that's why whatever the edge we are choosing, that edge should not have this kind of property. If the edge is having this kind of property such that whenever we remove an edge, then it disconnects the graph, such kind of edge we call it as bridge. I am repeating the definition of the bridge. An edge is said to be a bridge by removing that edge. If the graph gets disconnected, we call it as bridge. If a edge is removed, edge removal makes graph disconnected. That kind of edge we call it as bridge. Is it clear? Yes. Yeah. Let us consider 1, 2, 3, 4. How many edges we are having? 4 edges. 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 1. Now, what is the bridge edge in this? Bridge. What is the bridge? No bridge. Very good. Yeah. 1 to 2, any edge you consider. If you remove that edge, it will not disconnect. Why? Because we are having another way to connect all the vertices, all the vertices of the graph. So even if you remove 2 and 3, we can connect 2, 1, 4, 3 like this. But if you remove 1 to 2 and 2 and 3, then graph will get disconnected. But we are considering only one edge removal at a time. So we will not be having any bridges in this graph. Similarly, if you consider path graph, and now you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 edges we have. What's the bridge? Are we having any bridge in this? Yes. All are bridges? No. All are not bridges. Try to observe. What are the bridges? 2 to 3 only bridge. Why? Because disconnected in the sense, if you remove 3 to 4, what are the vertices that we will have? Only 1 to 3. Why? Because from 4 we are not having any more edges, so 4 will also be removed. So graph will be containing 1, 2, 3. So it is connected only. Similarly, 1, 2, 2 if you remove, then also 2, 3, 4 will be connected only, or 2, 3 will be connected only. So it is not a bridge, but 2, 3 is the bridge. If you remove this, 1 to 2 will be one component, 3, 4 will be another component. So graph will get disconnected. Okay. So that is the meaning of bridge. Now, whenever we are considering what are the feasible options that we have out of the available options, we should not consider bridge. If bridge is the only alternative, then we have to choose that. If only one alternative is there, we will choose. Otherwise, other than bridge, whatever the edges we have, out of those we can choose any edge. Okay, in order to obtain Euler circuit. Now let us see the formal procedure or the algorithm. Yeah, this particular algorithm we call it as Fleury's algorithm. Fleury's algorithm. Here the input is the graph. We will be selecting a member V of V. Okay, from any vertex we can start the procedure as we have discussed as the beginning vertex for the Euler circuit. Okay, and pi will designate the path that we have constructed so far. Okay, pi is the result actually, which we will consider as the solution. Okay, solution variable is pi. Pi will contain only the V, and from V whatever the edges we have, out of those edges we can choose any one if that is not the bridge, that you keep in mind. Suppose let us consider this as the graph. You can start at any vertex. Let us start at F. How many alternatives we have from F? How many alternatives we have? Two alternatives. So F to E, F to G. Are there any bridges in these two? F to E or F to G is a bridge. FG or FE is bridge? No. So we can choose any of these two. So let us consider we have chosen F to E. So current vertex is E. From E, how many alternatives are there? From E, now how many alternatives are there? 3 alternatives. Why? Because FE is removed. FE is removed from the graph. So from E we are having E to G, then H, then C. 3 alternatives. Out of these 3, are there any bridge? Are there any bridges? Check. Are there any bridges? No. E to C is also not a bridge. Why? Because we are having connectivity like this. So it is not a bridge. E to G anyway it's not a bridge. Why? Because we are having connectivity like this. E to H also not a bridge. So we can consider any edge. Let us consider we have chosen G. So E to G also removed. Now from G how many alternatives are there? Two alternatives. Those are G to H, G to A. G to H, G to A. So we will be, we should not consider G to F. So you consider G, either G to H or G to A. So now let us consider G to H only we have considered. Okay. G to H will be removed. Now we are at H. We are having only one alternative. So we have to choose it. So we are at E. Now only one alternative we have. So we have to choose C. Now we came here. Next. From C, how many alternatives are there? 3 alternatives. Are there any bridges? No. So we can choose anything. So let us assume D we have taken. Next, from D only one alternative. So A we have reached. From A we are having 3 alternatives. Out of those 3 alternatives, A to G is bridge. So we should not choose A to G. We can choose either A to C or A to B. These two are not bridges. So we can choose A to C. Next, from C we are having only one alternative. So B. From B we are having only one alternative. From A we are having only one alternative. Next, from G we are having only one alternative. So we have started at F and we ended at F itself. So it is the Euler circuit. That's the procedure. Now let us see the procedure. Just a 3-step procedure. We can start at any vertex as we have discussed, and we will designate pi as the path that we have considered so far. Pi is the path that we have considered. Next, from pi, if we are having W, okay, W, there is only one edge W comma Z. Only one edge if we have, just that we have to take into path. Okay, and we have to remove W comma Z from E and W also from V. If that is the only vertex, that is the only edge from that vertex, then that vertex also we should remove, right? That also we have seen. Next, if W, at W we are having several edges, several alternatives are there. Out of those, we have to choose one that is not a bridge. Okay, one that is not a bridge. Bridge we should not choose. That is that you keep in mind. So let us assume W comma Z is not a bridge. So we will extend the result like this: W to Z, and we will remove the W comma Z from edge set. Okay, as we are having several alternatives, vertices we will not remove, only edges will be removed, and this process we will repeat until there exist several edges. Okay, until there is no edge exist. Okay, if any edge is there, we will repeat the same process. Okay, this we call it as Lurie's algorithm. Clear? Yes, ma. Yeah. Same thing here depicted for this example. Okay, I think this is started at A. You can go through this example. Started at A. What are the other alternatives? We have started at F and we have seen some possibilities where we have to choose which edge and why. Similarly, you can start at A and we can go through several steps, several alternatives. Only three things you have to consider. You can start at any vertex and if we have only one edge, that we will choose. If we have two alternatives and two are not bridges, then you can choose any of these. If you have several alternatives, out of those some bridge is there, then that bridge we should not consider. Okay, this is the bridge that we should not consider. Out of these we can choose any one. These are the three alternatives that you keep in mind, then you can work out this example. This is Fleury's algorithm for finding what? Euler circuit. Okay, 5 more minutes, so let's yeah, we have seen a Hamiltonian path, Hamiltonian cycle. What is Hamiltonian path? It contains each vertex exactly once. So like Euler path will contain each edge exactly once. Here each vertex contains exactly once. And Hamiltonian circuit in the sense each vertex we have to visit only once except the first vertex. First vertex visited two times except the first vertex. Remaining all vertices will be visited only once. Such kind of path we call it as Hamiltonian circuit. If a graph contains Hamiltonian path, that graph we call it as traceable graph. If a graph contains Hamiltonian circuit, that graph we call it as Hamiltonian graph. And for this particular graph, which is famous, this will be referred as a regular decahedron, dodecahedron. Okay, why it is called regular? I will say one justification here. Regular in the sense degree of each and every vertex is same. What's the degree of this vertex, you tell? What's the degree of this vertex? 3. What's the degree of this vertex? 3. You can choose any vertex in this graph. Degree will be 3 and degree will be same. Such kind of graph we call it as a regular graph. Okay, now you say whether this is regular graph or not. Yes. Why? Because 4 vertices we are having. For each vertex the degree is 2, which is same. So we can consider this graph as the regular graph. Now if I add one more vertex like this, is this regular? Is this regular? Is this regular? Now you say, is this regular? No. Any alternative? It's no. Yeah. So regular and this is decahedron, dodecahedron, which is famous graph in graph theory. And for this graph, Hamiltonian cycle exists. Okay, that is depicted in this 1, 2, 3. And one more thing is there exist several Hamiltonian circuits. In the previous class, we have seen 2 or 3, I think. Starting from 1, we can go to 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we can enter inside uh, polygon, then we can come back to the outer one, then we can reach back to 1. Like that we can have several alternatives. Okay, this is one of those. Next, similarly another one, is this having Hamiltonian cycle? Hamiltonian cycle means it has to start at one vertex and come back to the same vertex. No. So Hamiltonian path, yes, a to B, then B to C, C to D, C to D to E. That's it. This is Hamiltonian path. Like that, we can argue whether it is having Hamiltonian path or Hamiltonian cycle. Now you consider 6.55. It entirely Hamiltonian. It is entirely a graph. Now you say whether it is having Hamiltonian path or not. Hamiltonian path or not? Yes or no? No. Why? Because it is disconnected graph. Next, Hamiltonian cycle, there is no possibility as well. Yeah. these are the example for Hamiltonian path and Hamiltonian cycle, and one of the famous examples for Hamiltonian circuit graphs which are having Hamiltonian circuits are complete graphs. Complete graph in the sense for each and every pair of vertices will be having an edge that is denoted as Kn. N vertices will be having for each and every pair of vertices will be having an edge that is called complete graph. Complete graphs are Hamiltonian are having Hamiltonian cycles or circuits. And now the question is whether complete graphs are regular graphs or not. Complete graphs are regular graphs or not. Yes. Why? Because every vertex will be connected to every other vertex in the graph. So what will be the degree of each and every vertex? What is the degree of each and every vertex in Kn? N minus 1. That's it. So it is a regular graph. Yeah. Irrespective of the order, we can say complete graph is containing, every complete graph will contain Hamiltonian circuit. If you consider the graph with 4 vertices, you can start at any vertex, you can go to any vertex and go to this vertex, then go to this vertex and come back to this. So we can have Hamiltonian circuits for complete graphs. Next, two, three theorems we will have. Okay, one is if there exists a Hamiltonian circuit in any graph. Okay, Hamiltonian circuit in any graph. If you consider any two non-adjacent vertices, you consider a simple graph like this. Any two non-adjacent vertices, degree of those two vertices, sum of the degrees of these two vertices will be greater than or equal to number of vertices in that graph. That is this theorem. Any two non-adjacent vertices u and v, if you consider, okay, degree of u plus degree of v is greater than or equal to number of vertices in that particular graph. Okay, this is first theorem. Based upon this, another corollary in the sense, based upon one theorem we could deduce one thing, that is called corollary. Okay, this is just a theoretical computer science related thing. Theorem means some significant result. Corollary means based upon this theorem something we can deduce. It is like you consider sum of the n natural numbers is n into n plus 1 by 2. This is the theorem. Okay, some of the another observation we can make, some of the another theorem like difference between n plus 1, some of the let us say difference between m plus 1th number in the arithmetic series and nth number in the arithmetic series will not be more than something. How we can prove that is, what is the sum of the first n natural numbers that we can see, and n plus 1 numbers we can see, and this also. From this we can deduce what's the difference, and with that we can prove this. Okay, basic thing here you need to understand is what is meant by corollary is, theorem is significant result. Based upon the theorem we will deduce something that we can consider as corollary. That's it. Yeah. Next, here what is the corollary is, if G has Hamiltonian circuit, if each vertex has degree greater than equal to n by 2, greater than equal to n by 2, what does it mean? From this theorem, two vertices if we have, two are non-adjacent, let us consider. Okay, two are non-adjacent, and u and v, degree of u is d of u and degree of v is d of v, and sum of these two we are saying as greater than or equal to n, and in this we are considering each vertex has degree greater than or equal to n by 2. So degree of u will be greater than or equal to n by 2, so we can consider it as n by 2, and we can consider it as n by 2 at least. So sum of these two we know that it is greater than or equal to n. Okay, so if you consider every vertex is having the degree n by 2, according to this above theorem we can say it is greater than or equal to n. So we can consider it is proved according to the previous theorem. Previous theorem is saying it is greater than or equal to n. So degree of each vertex should be greater than or equal to 2. That's what we can prove. We can deduce from this fact of this particular theorem. So that is only proved here in this corollary. Next, last one. You don't have any class right now. One more theorem we will see. Then we can close this Hamiltonian. Are you having any class? Okay. Thank you. Here, theorem 2's statement is let the number of edges of G be m. Okay, in the initial classes we have seen number of vertices will be denoted as n, number of edges will be denoted as small m. Okay, by default these are the two letters which we will use to denote number of vertices and number of edges respectively. Next, if G has Hamiltonian circuit, then we are saying m is this one. Okay, now we will try to prove this one. For that, we will assume that there exist two vertices u and v which are not adjacent. Then according to theorem 1, what we can say, degree of u plus degree of v is greater than or equal to n. Degree of u plus degree of v is greater than or equal to n. This is what we have in first theorem. Okay, based upon this we will try to we will try to prove this particular statement. Yeah. Now, if these two are eliminated from the graph, okay, these two, whatever the vertices we have considered u and v, if these two are removed, and then how many vertices we will be having in the remaining graph? Total vertices are n. Two vertices are removed, so total now remaining vertices are n minus 2. And in between n minus 2, among these n minus 2 vertices, how many edges, maximum number of edges that we can form are, yeah, if n edges, n vertices are there, how many edges we can form? N edges if we have, if n vertices we have, n vertices if we have, how many edges we can form? Maximum nc2. Similarly, n minus 2 vertices if we have, then n minus 2 vertices, n minus 2 c2. Yeah, n minus 2 c2 number of edges only we can form. Yeah. Now we know that m is the total number of edges that we have. Okay, m is the total number of edges that we have. From this, how many edges we have removed with this u and v removal? How many edges we have removed? Maximum degree of u and degree of v, isn't it? Degree of u and degree of v. These many edges we have removed with this u and v. Is it clear? So these are the edges which will be remained in the graph after removing u and v. Okay. Now this particular one we can consider as like what is this n minus 2 c2 value? Just to tell, n minus 2 c2 value is this one. You can see here, n minus 2 into n minus 2 minus 1, which is nothing but n minus 3 by 2, which is nothing but half into n square minus 5n plus 6. Okay, this is just a simple calculation from this n minus 2 c2. Okay, now how many edges will be remained? That is what we have to consider. Now m is the total number of edges, and we are removing degree of u, that is u we are removing and v we are removing. So these many edges will be removed. Then remaining edges will be maximum of these many, that is half into n square minus 5n plus 6. Is this statement clear? Maximum these many edges we will be having, that is m minus degree of u minus degree of v is nothing but less than or equal to maximum of half into n square minus 5n plus 6. Is this clear? Because u and v is the are the two edges two vertices we are considering, which are not adjacent. So based upon the theorem 1, we can say those are the two vertices which we have removed. So m minus these many edges may be removed, and remaining edges will be maximum this much. Is this clear? Yes. Yeah. Now based upon the first theorem, what we can say is degree of u plus degree of v is greater than or equal to this particular one. Even from here also you can argue. I will remove this so that there won't be any confusion. Yeah. See, now m we are having here. Let us bring this two here and these two terms to right side. Degree of u, degree of v to right side. Then what we will be getting? Degree of u, degree of v is greater than or equal to m minus this much. M minus this one. Is it clear? Just we are bringing these to this. Is this clear, ma? Yeah. Now we are having, according to the first theorem hypothesis, this degree of u plus degree of v is greater than or equal to n. This we know already from the first theorem. So now m minus half into n square minus 5n plus 6 is greater than or equal to n. That we know. M minus this one is greater than or equal to n. Now if you bring this minus half into n square minus 5n plus 6 to right side, then we will be getting m is greater than or equal to this one, half into n square minus 3n plus 6. Did you get the point? M minus this one is greater than or equal to n, that we know. So if you equate and get what is the m value, we will be getting as half into, just we will be getting like n like this, m minus some x, that x is this one. Then we will be getting m is greater than or equal to, yeah, this if you bring here, we will be getting this one, half into n square minus 3n plus 6. Like this we can prove this theorem 2. Is it clear? Yes. You go through this proof. If you have any doubt, you can ask in the next class. Okay, ma? Yes. Yeah. Please enter roll number in the chat box and can read. Thank you, ma.